now is definitely a good time to do another one. Why is that? Well, I'm just making a cup of coffee here. That it would be because on that sort of boundary again. Obviously, you know, where you wake up the morning after with renewed vigour to try and make things right again after failing the previous night before. So yeah, just one of those similar patterns again, lapses and whatnot, and you know, back on the vape or the nicotine and whatnot. But each day waking up with just with a feeling that you know how it's sort of like the whole thing works and the reason why things are the way they are, and so that sort of you can completely understand the bipolar nature of things. It's almost as if, like, if you are like that, if you are manic, it's when you are down, it's like, oh fuck, I've done it again. Like, you know, what's the point in me living if I end up repeating the same mistake? I can't learn from it, do anything different. And then when you're up and riding high, there's a sense of feeling that it's so simple. The answer is so simple. It's all I need to do, and so the world becomes simplified, and the possibilities become endless again. It's a real, and you know, and those and the gulf between the two increases as the answer becomes clearer. One path is clearly just don't do this, and the other one is just like, I see things so sharply, and it is so simple on paper. In practice, it's not so. If everyone was so rational and able to just flip a switch and enact exactly what it was that they felt was so simple, that would make life so simple, and the goals and ambitions so easy to achieve. So basically, I'm sure there was a lot more other stuff, but that's the bulk of it. I thought now would be a good, and so yeah, that's where I found myself in the morning, with a sense of, I guess the high, but that's it. The thing which, for me, can sort of like detract and pull back from the high to the low is just, yeah, it's that Achilles heel, that temptation, that apple in the Garden of Eden. I mean, it's all very relevant. Religion is very relevant in terms of narrative. Some of the most long-lasting, and that's why they are so still dominate, because they're just such powerful narratives. And it's not nothing about the Bible. It's just in the realm of narrative itself. These are not these stories are not unique to particular religions. They're amalgams. They've been the product of just human history, of civilization. So they belong to all of us. Everyone has chipped in and contributed to them in some way, and just in the fact that they've been alive, I guess, and perhaps interacted with people. So there's not, yeah, so, but they are, you know, but when they have some of the biblical narrative stories are so powerful, and a lot of and especially the instructive ones that people feel actually lead to positive human behaviour, and presents us with good examples to actually follow. That's when people like, yes, make this so, make this the law, make this the way things should and always be. And you know, I'm just very, very, when people start getting absolutist on me, I start backing off from them. I just don't want anyone who's just like, this is it, this is the key, I found the key. Then you just have to like, oh great, I'm happy for you, and then just walk away slowly. I mean, that's how I feel right now. Maybe it's not, maybe, and like, but I do worry about that. The increase in likelihood of almost maybe two things, like in old age, sort of like a solidifying of, over these years I've gathered so much knowledge and wisdom, it now hardens into truth. And also like the desire to actually find some truth in a person's lifetime to make it, that lifetime, worthwhile. I mean, like, what, you're just gonna spend 80 years on the planet and leave it not being sure or certain about anything? Seems like a massive waste of time. I mean, but then what is the point? And, you know, I just think that, well, I did think riding up from the shop that a lot of people do commit suicide. I mean, obviously, like, oh, you know, you could imagine people doing it for, I mean, you know, things like being betrayed, or that feeling of like, that investment of love into something has been taken away, you know, through sort of like natural, unavoidable and innocent sort of causes. But then you could sort of invest your whole life, love, energy into something, and that thing which is the recipient of that energy and love has been making a mockery of it, has taken it for granted, has thought nothing of it, and perhaps lived a life where they convinced you that it did mean just as much to them as it did to you. So you've been treachery, I guess. I mean, treachery doesn't sound like a good word, you know, how to sort of convey these sort of ideas, because it just sounds like treason, and treason sounds like kings and queens and nobility and all that type of stuff. Treachery. O'Hara's treachery has disgraced us. If you remember from Bruce Lee, that was a good film, The Enter the Dragon. And so what other things? I don't know, but that's that. But the way that I was thinking about on the way up, riding my bike, and suicide, and actually it wasn't suicide, it was people who just come out with the expression, I don't want to live anymore. It's not that I necessarily want to die, it's that I just don't want to live in this world. And then I thought, is it really that's what they mean? Is it the world, or are they referring to they don't want to live like they are, or live the way they are, or, you know, live the way they do, or behave like the way they are behaving. But, you know, it's not the necessarily the world's fault or issue. I don't know. It's very, but there is a lot of mental health related stuff. So many people are comparing themselves. I just don't think, and like, I know you get comparethemeerkat.com and like things like that, comparison websites where you compare the best, and on Compare the Meerkat, that you just go straight to the top. You jib off the rest because they're just useless, and you just look at the best ones, like and see what the range of benefits, and below a certain threshold, you just don't bother with it, do you? You just like automatically the thing. But you know, I don't know what sort of point that proves. Proves no point at all. But there is a general comparison, like Tinder, for example, choosing a mate and so on. I mean, you know, comparing different things today, especially for consumers, is definitely I say a well view, but it's definitely a tool. It's also a lens through which we see the world and we make sense of it. It's a way of selecting the good from the bad in the world using this sort of comparative lens. And I just think that when people compare themselves, there's lots of ways you can compare yourself, especially if you feel like what you represent on your social network could be an idealized version of what your life is, what it could be, what you would wish it to be. But it's a version of you at the end of the day that you get to sort of compare with other people, friends, people that you don't know, acquaintances, people that you semi sort of know. And if it's just like the old sort of biblical parable, isn't it? I always come back to it. The farmer and the workers, and it's such a great. I mean, must have been around for ages, but the farmer goes out at 8 o'clock into town. He asks a worker, "Hey, do you want to work?" The worker's like, "Yeah, right. How much are you gonna pay?" And the farmer goes, "Oh, £60 for the day." He's like, "Sweet, sweet." So he starts working. Farmer needs a little bit more help, so he goes back out at 1 p.m. around about lunchtime, and he finds another worker there just in town. He says, "Hey, do you wanna work for us?" The worker goes, "Yeah, right, sound." And he goes, "How much are you going to pay?" And the farmer says, "Oh, £60 for until the close of the day." And the worker says, "Sweet, I'm going to do that." And then a little bit later on, about a couple of hours before dusk, the farmer goes back out just to get some work to finish off the job. And he sees a worker sat in the town square. And he says to him, "Hey, do you want to do some work for us?" And the worker goes, "Yeah, right." And the worker says, "How much are you going to pay?" And the farmer says, £60. And the worker says, "What? Cool, I'm defo doing that." And then he goes back to finish off the job. And when it comes to being paid, obviously the first worker is a bit like, "Harumph, you what? That is not I'm doing £60 for the whole day, and that guy's just like started 2 hours ago and he's getting the same as me. That's just not fair. I want exactly, he should be getting less than me. If I'm getting £60, I should either get more or he gets less to make it fair. It's not fair." And then the farmer was just like, "Hey mate, do you know what? Like, I came to you and said, are you happy with this fee to work this day? And you were completely fine with it." He says, "Yeah, it's true." And he said, "So why should you be affected by what happens to another person if you've already agreed that the money that I'm giving you is a fair amount for you to work?" And he was like, "Ooh, you're right, actually, I'm sort of being affected. Oh, the way I'm comparing myself is bringing all sorts of like dynamics into it that really shouldn't be there. I agreed with you that £60 for the day was a good price, and I was willing to work it. Why am I being affected by what happens to another person?" And the farmer was just like, "Okay, well, never mind. Let's as long as you've just seen, not I was going to say the error of your ways. I guess it is a little bit, but he didn't say that. I think everyone just walked away a little bit wiser and just happy that they've actually got a job in the first place, because they it's just good to have a job, isn't it? So basically there's a lot of people comparing themselves, and then I can smell me pizza cooking now, and it's really distracting me. It's really tasty as well. Only 50p, 2 for £1 it is. Actually it was two for £1.50. 75p each, and I can't carry on. The smell is just too delicious. Plus I've got a coffee here, and I don't know, I think I'm running out of things to say. Comparison, people compare, don't compare. Run out of steam.